Hello and welcome to this afternoon taste challenge. We have two American bourbon whiskeys. Well, they're all bourbon is American. Sorry for that mistake. Jesse James, America's Outlaw, the original Jesse James, America's Outlaw Bourbon Whiskey, as opposed to the unoriginal, none of which exist. Okay, this bottle is a 2-year aged. Okay. If you find this, it's probably going to say 3 years. The website shows 3 years. I saw a lot of video reviews for this, and they were saying they had a 3-year age bottle, but for whatever reason, I got a hold of a 2-year age. I don't know if it was an early release or whatever, but I don't think this bottle is 11 years old. I know Jesse James Bourbon was introduced in 2011. I got the trademark information on that. But this bottle, yeah. It might be saying March 2016, but still, I don't know. Could be 6 years old. All right, well, anyway, it's pretty dark. And you say, could it really be that dark after only 2 years old? Yes, because the aging doesn't make it darker. It's the char level. So if they put this in a really heavily charred barrel, it's going to suck up all that deep color right off the bat, and then the aging is going to smooth it out and whatnot. Here's the competitor, which you would assume is going to win. I would assume the limited edition Prohibition Repeal Jim Beam Repeal Batch, non-chill filtered. I gotta change the name. I forgot it's called Jim Beam Repeal Batch. Kentucky straight bourbon whiskey, distilled and bottled by Jim B. Beam Distilling Company. That's Beam-Suntory, Beam and Claremont, and Frankfort, Kentucky. 3 different places. It's bottled in Beam, Kentucky, Claremont, and Frankfort. They've been distilling since 1795. Although the Jim Beam label, Jim Beam bourbon, didn't hit the market until 1938, but they had been making products like Beam's bourbon. It was called Beam's. Okay. But the guy James Beam, he got the company really going after Prohibition, so they named a whiskey in his honor, a bourbon whiskey, constant quality. So let me change the title, Jim Beam Repeal Batch. That won't take but a moment. Hold on a second. I like to do these things correctly, you know. Jim Beam Repeal Batch, not Prohibition Repeal. There's something else called Prohibition Repeal. I think it was Budweiser Prohibition Repeal, right? That's what's always confusing me. Jim Beam Repeal Batch. Says limited edition, but it's been saying that for 4 years. I bought this 4 years ago, 2018, right? 2018, for the 85th anniversary of Prohibition's repeal, and I might have bought it in 2019, but it wasn't long after it came out. And everybody was selling it for $17.99, around that price, but I got it at Walmart for $12.87, $12.87. I remember that price. So that was a great deal, you know. Is that Jim Beam Repeal Batch discontinued? I don't see it anymore. I do see it occasionally, you know. I'm not really looking for it, but I know they're still showing it on the website. I just checked the website. They're still showing it. So I assume when they stop selling it, they're going to kill it, you know, take it down. But some of these companies are sloppy about doing that. You know that. All right. But anyway, so let's see what's going to happen. Got my tags. Got to get my tags right. Put this here. Put the competitor's tag here. So here's the Jesse James from Mr. Jesse James Dupree. That's the website, jessejamesdupree.com. But I put the link below so you know you won't have trouble finding it. Price. I told you, $12.87 for the Jim Beam. I got that liter of Jesse James liter. You heard me? $7.99. I'm not joking. I noticed that the Jesse James is darker than the Beam. The Beam is more golden, and this is more copper. No age statement for the Jim Beam, but we know it's at least 4 years old. Because any whiskey without an age statement has to be at least 4 years old. And that's, I'm talking about the United States whiskey. In Canada, it's a 3-year minimum. And in Ireland and Scotland, it's 3 years. But in the US, if they don't have an age statement, it has to be at least 4 years. Now, a lot of people get confused by that, and they'll think that American whiskey has to be 4 years old. No, only if it has no, that confused me at first, but no, only if it doesn't have an age statement. You don't have to put an age statement. And then some people think bourbon has to be 2 years old. No, that's another part of the confusion. Bourbon can be aged 6 months. You say, you're crazy. I'm not crazy. I know where to go and get some at Walmart. If they're still selling it, I think it's called Brothers Bourbon from New York City. I think the Bronx. Well, that's where they bottled it. I don't think it was made there. But it said this bourbon is at least 6 months old. I said, oh boy, can't wait to pay $25 for that. But I didn't buy it, But no, it's straight bourbon that has to be at least 2 years old. Okay, straight bourbon has to be at least 2 years old. And I can understand the confusion because the regulation can be complicated. They're really simple. They're simple in a way, and in another way, they're not simple. But they are generally simple. All bourbon has to be aged in new charred oak barrels. All bourbon. All right. If it's blended bourbon, which is a class of bourbon, straight bourbon, or just bourbon, it all has to be aged in new charred oak barrels. Jesse James might try and pull a fast one on you. Be careful. I know. You can't trust him. Okay. Bourbon cannot have coloring added, and it cannot have flavoring added. So when you see the color, you know it's true, unless it's blended bourbon. If you read the regulations on blended bourbon, they can add coloring and flavoring. You say, what? Not a blend of straight bourbons. That's another class. Blend of straight bourbons. Because I keep seeing these bourbons around here. In other states, they say bourbon with natural flavors. I say, well, how can they have that if the Tax and Trade Bureau clearly shows it cannot have it? I said, oh, I get it. I think I get it, let's say. I think it's blended bourbon that they're selling. But the only thing that's got me confused there is I thought if it was blended bourbon, they had to say blended bourbon. But I guess they don't. They're just saying 10 high, bourbon with natural flavors. Kentucky Tavern, bourbon with natural flavors. This Kentucky Royal, no, it's called Royal Kentucky bourbon with natural flavors. I just bought that in May in Texas. So I guess they don't have to call it blended bourbon. It seemed like they should have to, but that's the only explanation I can figure out. All right, so, but that's not what we're dealing with today. We're dealing with regular bourbons, regular versus straight. Okay. Why is Jesse James not allowed to be called straight bourbon? Because I think it's got bourbons from different states. See what I'm saying? They're bottling it. It says bottled in California. It does not say distilled in California. So see the problem? If you're taking it from one state, right, but you're bottling it in another state, it can't be straight. This smells, typical corn, sweet corn, charred oak. Now, is the Jesse James chill filtered? I'm sure it is because they're not claiming it's non-chill filtered. Is the Jim Beam chill filter. No, because they say on the bottle, non-chill filter. And it's 86 proof. Unlike regular Jim Beam, which is 80 proof, and it is chill filter. Okay, so aroma, nah, it's about the same. I can't really tell them apart. I'm trying to close my eyes because I know if I look at the darker one, I'm gonna know what it is. I'm gonna know it's Jesse James. I got my hand, I'm holding my hand over it right now. Less strict, I meant. What you mean less strict? Okay, appearance, the Jesse James is darker. The Jim Beam is lighter. Oh, well, that's just how they are. Does it make one better or worse? No. Aroma, it's about the same. So taste, we'll see. I think it'll be the Repeal Batch that'll win, but that's why we do the challenge. You could think a lot of things until you do the challenge, you don't know. I tell these people with beer all the time, they're saying, I know, I never would get that confused. You know, I would never get that confused. You know, I say, oh, really? Why don't you do a taste challenge? Blind, of course, a blind taste challenge. Oh, well, that's it. I never see them do it. I mean, there's some video reviewers that do it. Not many, but I've seen them. In my personal life, I've never known anybody to do it. They just won't do it. You know why? Because they don't care. You know, they're not worried about it. They say, man, I'm just drinking beer. I don't want to hear all of this beer hobbyist talk. I can understand that. Most people I know with cars, I say, what kind of, is it a 4-cylinder engine in that new car? They don't know. This, I don't know. Okay. All right. They just buy it, you know. I asked them, what's the horsepower? Sometimes they look at me like, what do you mean? What do you mean the horsepower? I just find it comical, but they just buy the car and they drive it. They're like Paulie and Goodfellas. The only thing they know about the restaurant business is you get a menu and you order, you know. That's it. Get a menu and make an order. So that's what they know about cars. You buy it and you drive it. Most people I tell you ought to read that owner's manual, but they don't do it. Tells you follow this maintenance schedule. Sweet corn. The charred oak flavor is not as prominent here. I'm trying not to look down because I know if I glance, I'm gonna guess. I'm not gonna guess. I'm gonna know because one is dark. I meant the Canadian bourbon laws are less strict than American. Well, in Canada they can't make bourbon. They can't call it bourbon. Bourbon is legally can only come from the United States. No, I would not say the Canadian laws are less strict. I would just say they're different. I mean, they're strict up there, but you know they're different. Now you can make a whiskey in Canada that's identical to bourbon, but you can't call it bourbon. It would just be Canadian whiskey. For instance, the Crown Royal Blender's Mash, which was called Bourbon Mash for about 10 months, a year maybe. But finally the U.S. government said, okay, you know, people are going to think it's bourbon. And the Crown Royal said, well, we don't claim it's bourbon. We just say it was a bourbon mash. They said, no, you're just going to have to change the name. So they changed it to Blender's Mash. And you can find some bottles that have a sticker over the old, like they literally took a sticker that said Blender's Mash and just pasted it over the old label. It's kind of funny. And then you see some other ones where they have a disclaimer. This product is not bourbon whiskey. But if you taste it, it tastes just like bourbon. Because that's what it is. But they can't call it that. Okay. They're both very corn. You like corn? You like yellow corn? You like yellow corn grits? You like cornbread? You like whole kernel corn? You know what I'm saying? Corn chips, corn flakes. There's your idea, because that's what you taste. And of course, none of those things are charcoal aged, aged in charred oak barrels. You know what I mean? Or then maybe even drip through charcoal for filtering purposes, but or mellowing purposes or dual purposes. But that's the general principle here. But the one in my right hand, it tastes like it's got a more, like it has a stronger, more bolder flavor. And I think it's the Jim Beam Repeal Batch. Now, is it a better product? Arguably. I would like to try the Jesse James 3-year age. Probably would make, it'd probably be a minuscule difference, but it might be a difference. Let's see. Yeah, this has got to be Jesse James. It's just so mild. Now, but as far as quality control and enjoyment level, that's a tie. And the price is the same. They're both about $18 a bottle. They're both about $18 a bottle. In the real world, not in the Louisiana bizarro world, extraordinarily low prices world. Most states, you're not going to get Jesse James for a liter for $7.99. Did that last? No. They had it at Savannah discount. I bought a bottle. My friend David, I think, bought a bottle. He said he didn't like it, but I noticed that none of it's left. But anyway, next time I went back, it was gone. All of it. Of course, it's all going to be gone. Then it's not going to, for $7.99 a liter, it's not going to last. Okay, it is not going to last. So if you think about it, you may as well just think about it forever, because you're never going to get it. If you say I'm going to come back in a week and get it, nah, it's going to be gone in a week. Just like when they had that at Savannah discount in Marrero, Louisiana, when they had the Gibson's Finest. Now listen to this one. Gibson's Finest Rare, 12-year age Canadian whiskey, 12-year age, wooden cap, real cork, $9.99. Yeah, you heard me right, $9.99. I mean, that's like a joke. I mean, it's craziness. Of course, I bought a bottle. I went back the next time. What was it? A month later, all gone. Of course, it's gonna all be gone. People in Canada told me that's $65 a bottle. For a handle in Canada, $65 a bottle. It's $50 for the regular. I said, I don't know what to say. That's what they had it for, $9.99. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what train got robbed, but that was actually going on over there on that side of the river. They were people stealing. I don't know how they got away with this. I don't know how they pulled it off, but they were stealing all kind of appliances from trains. Washing machines, televisions, all kind of stuff. And apparently it was from Walmart, their shipments. They got busted. These people got busted. And somebody I know personally told me, well, she got arrested too, and said, I didn't know all that stuff was stolen. And the authority said, yeah, right, sure. You didn't know. But I don't think that the Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office busted them. I think Walmart's own private detectives busted them and turned all the evidence over to the local authorities. Walmart got their own detective team. And if they start seeing some losses, they're going to come at you. I think that's the ones who did it. Private detectives staked them out, Oh, well, I got no sympathy. Don't be a thief. Okay. You said that could happen in the spirits world, liquor world. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it could. Okay. Oh, I feel so played. I feel so embarrassed. I feel so shamed. I feel so wrong. I got it wrong. The one I said had a bolder flavor, a more charred oak, stronger flavor. It was the Jesse James. Wow, I can't believe it. I can't get over this one. Well, what can you say? You do the challenge, you do your best. If you get it wrong, you got to live with it, and I got to live with it. So, man, I can't. Oh, God, so irritating. I thought I had this one in the bag. And a snap, I said, oh, yeah, I got it. Yeah, you got it. Well, that's the third one I got wrong in this series. Third one. I had two wrong already. I thought I would just do my last two, get them right, and say, yeah, man, I only got it wrong twice. That messes up my average. Oh, well, I guess tomorrow I'll get it right, though, because I've got Kings County Bourbon. It's 92. What is it, 90 proof or 92 proof? Maybe it's 90 proof. Some craft bourbon, craft style bourbon from Kings County Distillery in Brooklyn. My friend David paid some sky high price for it. I think he actually got a deal on it. But I was looking at the prices on Total Wine and More. I was like, I wouldn't pay $56 for this. But I didn't pay anything for it. I got it for a Christmas present. But I said, we'll try. It's nice. It's a nice product. It's only aged 2 years. I'm like, why would you pay? Why would somebody pay $56 for a 2-year aged bourbon? It's like, it's not even straight bourbon. They don't even call it straight bourbon. You say, why is that? That's what I was wondering. Why is that? It's aged at least 2 years. They say it's all from New York. They distill all of their own bourbon. I don't know. I can't figure it out. You say, well, it might be a blend of different bourbons from New York. Yeah, but that wouldn't matter. That wouldn't affect it. If it's all from the same state and it's done by the same people, it doesn't matter if it's a blend. It doesn't. If it's a blend of straight bourbon is what I'm trying to say. What wouldn't make it not straight? You say, well, it's used barrels. No, it couldn't even be bourbon then. It would have to be just Kings County whiskey. It might be very good still, but so I don't know. I can't explain it. I don't know the answer, but I'm not going to fret over it. Oh well, man, I got it wrong. All right. That puts a damper on things, but I got to get over it. So tomorrow we'll close out the Jesse James series with the Kings County. If I get that wrong, I'm gonna really feel bad. I'm gonna say, oh, I got to get out of this game. Then, for better or worse, I guess probably for worse, but we're still gonna do it. We got blended whiskey coming. America always do blended after bourbon. American blended whiskey. You say, oh, yay, yeah, well, yay, well, that's what's coming. Oh. And I got one that I did reviews for already. And I did a few taste challenges, but I only had a 200 milliliter bottle. I couldn't get much action out of it. It's called Royale Club. Royale Club with a big fancy crest, like it's some royal whiskey. Yeah, it's royal for $6.99 a bottle. Not royal. From our friends at Sazerac. And they put the name Sazerac so microscopic you can't even see it. I had to almost use a magnifying glass, and I said, oh, look at him trying to make it to where, I mean, it's printed, but it's so micro compressed. It's like literally micro compressed print. It says Sazerac.com. and they said, we love to hear from our customers. I said, most customers couldn't even read this. But my friend David liked it. He kind of liked it. We did a duo review, and he said, yeah. I mean, he didn't know what to think about it. He's like, what is this stuff? You know, what is it? I said, well, it's blended, but he just couldn't. He just said, what? And then, but he said he did give it a, well, you'll watch it. He gave it a good score. He was like, well, yeah, I could see this, you know, he had to admit he could see it, you know, but we're going to bring that in to challenge everybody. Bellows Club Whiskey, Bellows regular blended bourbon whiskey, Seagram 7. It'll never beat Seagram 7, but nobody ever does. No one ever beats Seagram 7 Crown and the bourbon, you know, blended. Not bourbon, the blended whiskey world. Well, maybe Kessler could, but we're going to go against Kessler and all these little crazy brands, T.W. Samuels, which is very old, been on the market since 1844. That's a true story, 1844. Charcoal Perfected, that one called Charcoal Perfected. I don't think it's perfected. It might be charcoal filter, but I don't know about the perfect part. But anyway, yeah, so that's gonna, if you say, well, I ain't watching those for 2 weeks, I understand. I get it. But I'm going to do it. And then once blended whiskey's over, it's going to take to the end of the month, I'm pretty sure. Then we're going to bring in Canadian blended whiskey. You say, ooh. Now, some viewers like Canadian. They say, oh, yeah, I like that. Now, I've got one that we did a duo review of. I never did a solo review of it yet. It's called Canadian Peak, which is very rare, but it has been on the market since 1961. I was able to find out 1961, 61 years. It's been lurking around in the liquor stores for 61 years, getting almost no attention from anybody. And it's funny, but I got it. I found a bottle, and is it going to win a lot of taste challenges? Nah. Will it be a decent enough taste challenge series? Yeah, I think it will be. And then it's off to Irish whiskey. You know that Irish. I got some really interesting Irish stuff, so I'm excited. But I got to tell you, I'm really excited. I'm like really excited. All right. So let's see. Kevin says, do you think having these strange liquor laws are a good thing overall? Not necessarily. I don't really like these regulations, to tell you the truth. I think they should just let it be a free enterprise system. And there's ways you could overcome that, because you could have trade associations that say, okay, it has, if you want to be part of the Better Bourbons Association of America, you would have to follow these certain guidelines, like they do with the rums of Puerto Rico. It's not a law. To be part of the Rums of Puerto Rico Association, you have to follow those certain laws. Like all the rum has to be aged at least 1 year in an oak barrel. So yeah, you could do that. Have you tried any of the so-called moonshine products that are sold in liquor stores? Haven't had yet, but I intend to. I haven't tried them, but I see them every day of my life, practically. They're very popular. I don't know why, because you're buying unaged, basically unaged bourbon, raw, that's never been treated with wood. I don't know what the attraction would be for that, but you say, but it's all the flavors they add, coffee and cream and all that. Yeah, but why would you buy the regular moonshine? It's just unaged, like the Baldwin sisters made on the Waltons, remember? They had no barrels. They couldn't age it. They just made the distillate. Remember that? They made the recipe and people would drink it. It was just raw corn whiskey. Grain spirits. Can you imagine? I hope it wasn't 190 proof. I hope they were watering it down to 80 proof, by golly. It seems like there are Craft Beer Tastic says, oh, wait, I skipped a comment. Kevin Johnston says, Jesse James seems to be a tricky one to pin down flavor-wise. It is. It is, really, it is. Craft Beer Tastic. Hey, Craft Beer Tastic. He says, it seems like there are so many bar brands, quote unquote, bar brands on the market, and all their brand owners are embarrassed of them. Yep, I think you're right. Although, funnily, in the funny sense, Sazerac will acknowledge some of their bar brands, their rail whiskeys, well whiskeys, on their website. It's like they'll show stuff, and it's like, why are they showing this? But they're not showing all this other, like, higher grade stuff. I don't understand Sazerac. Butch Willie says, hey, dude. Kevin Johnson says, I prefer Canadian whiskey over American whiskey. I know. Beat me down for having terrible taste. You don't have to apologize for having your personal flavor. I know a guy that passed away, sadly, but he would always, when he worked at Bingo, he'd always want Canadian whiskey. He said, bring me a Canadian whiskey. I prefer those Canadian blends. Well, that's what he liked. Okay, well, a lot of people like them. What's the number one selling whiskey in the United States? Oh, that's right, Crown Royal, Canadian blended whiskey. Number one whiskey in the United States today. It's passed up Jack Daniels and it's passed up Jim Beam. Hey, well, sorry to be off topic, but how do you feel about the Trump raid? I'm not sure about it. I got a bad feeling about it. I think it's a disgrace. Yeah. I have to know more. I can't do like all these other people passing judgment and I don't know anything about it. I only know minimal what we've been told. So, Jay, I saw the video of Ann Hesh loaded into the aid unit. He had an ambulance and a body bag, still alive. Smells fishy to me. It's very strange. Jason, is very strange. They said she had brain damage, like she was brain dead. Well, I've never seen anybody brain dead jump up and fight with the officers, not the officers, the firemen trying to get away. Ripped open the body bag trying to get out. So that's a bizarre. And somebody told me, oh, she was in shock. I said, in shock? What are you talking about, in shock? And they were talking about how burned up she was. She was so burned. I didn't. Of course, you couldn't tell from a helicopter, but I said she didn't look like she was burned to me. And anyway, if they were rescuing her and taking her to the hospital, why was she in a body bag? You don't cover somebody's head up when they're alive. Yeah, it's very strange. It's very strange, Jason. I love Jim Beam, my favorite bourbon. Oh, and by the way, she had just finished making a film about child sex trafficking. I'm not making that up. I love Jim Beam, my favorite bourbon, says Butch Willie. I like it too. I like it too. I couldn't tell it apart today. Will you be more inclined to watch the NFL this season? It seems they have done better about keeping politics out of it. Yeah, it was killing them, Oh, I watched it even when they brought in the politics. I just wasn't up there being all rah, like everybody else. When their team scores a touchdown, they're like, yeah. I was just like, oh, okay, they scored a touchdown. I just watched it, Those glory days are over about being all bought into my team. Oh, my team. Nah. I'm not getting excited about that dirty business. I specifically love Jim Beam Black, says Butch Willie. Oh, I have not yet tried it, but it's on my. I have a bottle unopened, so it's coming. All right, well, that's it, y'all. I'm going to listen to the radio show. Y'all take care now. Join us tomorrow morning for Dawn Busters Taste Challenge.